Hey guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries. Again, today, this evening, whatever it is for you, it's early evening for me. Who cares, right? So, uh, as previewed, as promised, today's preview sort of said something about the intersection of my life in terms of what did I want to be when I grew up. Kind of thing that every kid, or not every kid, asks themselves at least once early on. So, of course, we all know I was crammed into acting at 6 years old, whether I liked it or not. Lived extensively on commercials, worked quite a bit as a child, and then we, hit 14. So early on, even though I was acting and acting and acting, I wanted to be a cartoonist or an illustrator. I used to draw all the time, every day, at every opportunity. My shrink actually had an entire cabinet devoted to my drawings. I drew so much that he had to, those like credenza type things with doors, and a whole section of that was piled high with my drawings because of course I went to him frequently and so he had tons and tons and tons of my drawings. I put up before this show an example of a cartoon that I drew when I was 10 years old. So it gives you some kind of idea about how like cartooning and illustrating, and even if I had to do storyboards, I would have been happy, as I grew older, and I developed this interest in illustrating. Well, I continued to draw, and then, my career was a big part of my life, and that was kind of my recreation, but there kind of was no time to think of myself as a cartoonist or an illustrator doing what I was doing. And I had no idea how to enter that field. It was so, far afield of what I knew, which all I knew was acting since 6 years of age. Now, as I've mentioned, I am a stage trained actor. I was not trained in film and television. My earliest work, I did Emergency, and every actor at one point or another does episodic television and commercials, not all of them. But in terms of training, as we all from Strasbourg to La Mama, these were all early projects that I did. But I did movies and television. So I'm like, in the thick of movies and television, and then 14 rolls around. I'm still working, believe it or not. And then comes E.T. And, for whatever reason, after E.T., my career tanked as an actor. Perhaps I was getting older, perhaps the trauma that I had gone through in the industry was turning me off. Can't imagine why. And it was kind of like it became drudgery, because after E.T. I couldn't get arrested really. By 16, what I was getting was not only crap, but it was totally against type. So I don't know what was going on. So no cartoonist, no, continue with this acting thing. And stage work was out pretty much because there's no money to be had. I don't care. Unless you're like a movie star starring on Broadway or extremely successful on Broadway, there's no money to be had in theater. And in theater, you spend a lot of your time rehearsing in the daytime before showtime. So then it becomes a whole nother thing, because if you're underage, you have to, believe it or not, have a set sitter be with you in the theater the day of the show, and it's just, utterly complicated. Now I tried desperately to jump back into theater a little bit later. Okay, so I'm acting, illustrating is gone, stage work is gone because no money, even though in acting, all I wanted really to do was be on the boards. I just really wanted to go back to stage work. It was so exciting. So I'm acting, and I can't get arrested, so to speak, after E.T. for whatever reason. My acting career does a slow slide. So then I'm turning 18. We're all coming of age now. I had just done a film, directed a film, as I mentioned a few shows ago, with a friend. Our honors project was to do a film. We did a film, an 8mm film. So, okay, now we're in the direction of directing. Now, in and around this time of that acting blur, after kind of not being able to do stage, not being able to follow my passion as an illustrator, I am now left with basically acting. I mean, that's like, that was it after you cut all the other stuff out. But I started to be interested in directing, because now we're late high school years, we're not quite of age. And I had directed a film with my friend, full blown. It was, even though two teachers walked out when we screened the film, we still graduated with honors because of the film. So now, okay, now directing, right? So I take editing courses at USC. Now I'm sort of hell-bent. I had directed a little theater, very little dinky little theater. So now, okay, directing seemed to be the obvious direction, because I couldn't do those other few things that I couldn't do. Now, directing sort of made sense. I had studied film theory extensively. I graduated with honors. I had taken editing classes, and I was convinced now editing was it. Editing was actually fun, but directing was it. It was just headed in the direction of directing, as I said. So, and I'm still having to act, and my career is nowheresville. So now I'm of age. I'm coming out of high school, right? We all want to decide at that point kind of what we want to do when we grow up. So I was convinced that I had to go to film school if I wanted to be a director, and I couldn't do any of those other things I wanted to do. So Sean applies to USC Film School. Now, USC Film School at the time was a very elite group of folks. I mean, they took 5 people a year or something in this specialized directing film course, towards a degree as, to be a director. So it's now time to apply to the big time film school, right? I've directed theater, I've done all these things, stage, and I was a good writer and all of these things. So it led seemingly well to an application to film school. Well, so, I get the paperwork and the application is a certified mail-in, you have whatever. And the main part of the application is you get 3 choices. I don't remember what the other 2 questions were. Whatever they were, I should have taken them. But one of them was an essay question on what book would you turn into a film right now. So I have this brain freeze, and I can't think. So much is vested now in me going into film school. It's like my only road out. Because do you know how tiring it is to be an actor in the 80s, closeted? I mean, do you have any idea how tiresome and exhausting that is? No, a lot of people don't. My union doesn't. Apparently, the studios don't want to know. But I don't know where does that leave the Philip McKeons and the Sean Frys and the Timothy Patrick Murphys? Where does it leave our story? #me3. So now everything is hinged on film school. But I have this brain freeze. What in the hell am I going to write about in this essay? I've read, I'm well read, but again, there's this brain freeze. So just like when I was a grant writer, it's like, give me a topic sentence, give me a topic, like open, like, you know, Cosmopolitan magazine. I don't care. So I picked, again, off the top of my head, bad idea, Sean, guess what? Because he thinks off the top of his head, and guess what? He just read that Joan Collins' favorite book was a book called Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, who I'd never friggin' heard of. The book was awful. I mean, and I had just finished it. So I'm like having this brain freeze. Okay, I'm gonna write about Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, Joan Collins' favorite book. Well, disaster. I mean, the book's a bore, my essay was a bore, Joan Collins is not a bore. I don't know about her taste in books, but I tanked. Here we go again, Sean tanked. And I realized after I sent in the application that what did I just do? I just, of everything I know and have done, I just sent in that. So, you know, it was written on the wind that was not gonna work out, Joan. Thanks. So then I'm back into acting again, and now I'm in like, you know, the loserist position in acting, having bounced around, and here I am still doing it, more closeted than ever. So since directing is out, being a cartoonist is out, I can't teach because my method is so far afield, again, from traditional method, and there's no money in that anyway, and I don't believe in coaching. So all those things are out, and now directing is out. So now, what do? I think, okay, last ditch effort, I'll jump back into what I originally wanted to do, which was be a stage actor. So read in the book, I get this play, and it is horrendous. It's 1987. A lot of stuff is looming in my life that I don't know about. And I do this absolutely atrocious comedy called Crazy Marriage. I'm not even going to take up oxygen to tell you how bad this play was. My reviews, I mean, was it LA? No, it wasn't the Weekly. Anyway, one of them said, Sean Fry plays this Air Force cadet and mugs more than Phil Silvers, Mel Brooks, and Zero Mostel combined together. So that was it. I mean, I'm out. And I can't do this closeted thing. I mean, I was sleeping with my leading lady. You're expected to do these things in the industry, believe it or not. Actresses wonder why you don't reciprocate, why you don't flirt, why you don't respond to flirtation. It's the reality, okay? What can I tell you? So that play bombs, I bomb, my affair with the leading lady bombs, everything's bombing. You know, it's like the blitzkrieg of my career. So realizing that all of these things are going nowhere and I'm stuck in an industry such as it is, what does Sean do? He gets married in 1987, the summer of 1987. Why? So he can try to continue acting with all the casting directors talking behind him, with all the agents talking behind him, with all of the casting directors, with all of the everythings talking about him behind him, saying things that I know were said first, second, third hand, first hand. And so I got married and I waited tables, and then I became a social worker after my divorce, after 3 years of what we all know was carnage. And there I was. And so I spent my life devoted to social work, and then I went corporate, and then I became disabled, and so here I am talking to you. Okay, I've taken up enough of your time as usual. I don't know how I'm going to pace this all together, but I love your company, and I hope you at least marginally enjoy mine. And thanks for sticking with me and putting up with me. and all that usual good stuff. So I'll see you tomorrow. What else is new? Bye.